Yeah, I heard that. Now who's in the crowd?
First up is approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda for July 22, 2025.
Second.
And seconds, any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed say no. Agenda is approved. Next is the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as submitted.
Second.
Been moved in second, any discussion, questions?
I have one quick one. I know, the planning commission minutes. Brenda, I'm not sure who's been doing those, but the ones that we got seem to be very, slim.
We have a new zoning administrator, I
Okay.
think Scott sent an email about it. He happens to be sitting right behind me. So if you have questions, you
They're
can.
slim notes. I would like, a little more I was having a hard time figuring what some of the, like the variance was for and a couple of things like that. So a little more detail would be good. Thank you.
I have a question on accounts payable. We don't have anybody to ask it to, but I'll ask it anyhow, and so maybe somebody
Can't hear anything.
get back. Excuse me. I don't usually,
Can't hear anything?
Oh, there we go, there we go.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
why
just
everybody
walk
needs to
into
do it. Get up there
Hello.
and get your mouth by the mic.
Yes.
Can you hear me
Like
now?
Tanya, right?
Yeah. everybody do.
I don't usually question anything anymore on the accounts payable on the Playhouse. But I have to this time when I see $11,700 in direct expenses, not counting what any indirect expenses may be on the Bon Appetit performance. I would like to know what the revenue was that was created putting on this performance. That's all I have.
All right.
I had the same question, so I'm interested in knowing that too.
And me.
We get expenses, but we don't show any income on anything. I would kind of wish our accounts payable also showed accounts received, I guess, or credited, so that we could kind of keep track of what's coming in and what's going out.
Anything else?
I have a question on the accounts payable, page 1 of 8, and I'm curious as to what the ADA compartment funnel thing is. Oh, that's funnel field
Yeah, that's ADA
What's-
compliant.
compliant, what?
I have no idea. Some kind of hardware it looks like.
Yeah, I'm not absolutely certain. but I
Architectural
think-
hardware is the one that supplies all the knobs and all that stuff, so I'm kinda wondering if it's a
Knobs and locks.
box, and yeah, I'm kinda wondering if it's a, like what Scott's got on the door there versus a knob. Cause I know they aren't cheap.
I can find out and send it to you, all of you.
Okay.
Anyone else? All those in favor of the consent agenda say yes.
Yes.
Opposed say no. Consent agenda approved. Messages from mayor, council, city manager. Let's start with Steve.
I have nothing at this time. Thank you.
No, since we don't have a city manager, I'll ask anyhow, or bring it up. There was a letter sent out from the Fraternal Order of the Eagles. I'm assuming all of us on the council received that letter. I'd like to know a little bit more specifics about what might have happened, and, I mean, I remember what we were told, and it doesn't seem to coincide with what they're saying, so I'd just like a little bit of an update on where we're at with that and why they're sending letters directly to the council instead of going through the city staff.
I can tell you, I sat down with Scott today and asked him to put together a one-page history of the entire incident.
Okay.
So,
I think that will be forthcoming.
I also asked for that update as well, and he said it would come.
I would like to hear from them the story, not just our side. And I think it's disgraceful that the city apparently hasn't even returned their phone calls, according to what they say. How many of their members and how many other people in the community think a little bit less of the city because they didn't have the courtesy or courage to talk with these folks. I'm not a member of Eagles. I don't know the story here, but this is ridiculous, not returning the calls.
is that all, Scott?
Yes, sorry.
Nothing on that.
Tom?
I have a couple things. First, I want to say that I worked on Walk the Beat again this year, and I thought it was great, even though it got rained a little bit. Walk the Beat has become my favorite event of the community. At the last meeting, I commented on property taxes. I had determined that Whitehall taxes were a little bit less, or significantly less than Montague's. Today, I don't know how many I had, but I passed out sheets from the county that show the property taxes for every community in the county, both with the homestead and without the homestead exemption. So you can see where we stand on that stuff. And I think that's, to me, I think that's a good part of being transparent with the community, and I wish the city would do more for transparency. I want to talk more about transparency tonight. In the past, I have asked a number of times that the Tax Increment Finance Authority, the Brownfield Authority, the Local Development Finance Authority, that they meet in the evening. These three boards all meet together at 12 o'clock on a weekday, once a quarter. And that doesn't work for most people because most people are working. It doesn't work for some of the board members, it would appear, because they've got a poor attendance record for that. And in addition to that, I think the time frame is part of the problem for people attending, for some of the members attending. Part of the problem, what I didn't say, I guess, I glossed over, is that they were supposed to have a meeting on July 10th. The meeting didn't actually take place because not one of those three boards had enough people there for a quorum. And, like I say, I think part of it is the problem that it's 12 o'clock noon during the week. And I know that part of the problem is because the mayor refused to fill 4 vacancies earlier this year when we were talking about boards and committees. The reason why, these 3 boards control an awful lot of the city's tax money. As an example, at the meeting that didn't happen, and by the way, at that meeting, I was one of only 2 people in the audience, and the other person that was there because he was asking for money for his business. At that meeting that didn't actually happen, Tifa was asked to give over $10,000 for a sign on the front of a building. Another thing that could have been discussed and should have been discussed was somebody that wants to buy 24 acres of our industrial park. That's a pretty big deal. Another thing that that they didn't discuss, and I think this one came directly from the city manager, they were supposed to discuss and vote on $99,000 just for engineering work on that little tiny piece of property between Tannery Bay and Keenan Marina. Now I think that's only 2 acres, 3 acres. And I don't know how much that's gonna cost, but they say that what I've been told by engineers, civil engineers, is that typically engineering fees run about 15% of a project on a small project. I have no idea how much money that thing is gonna cost. I think people ought to be, at least have a chance to know about this stuff. You know, transparency is a really big deal to me. If it's, anyway, the other thing, I think that it's high time for the cities to start getting competitive bids on engineering work. You know, $99,000 just to start on a park project without getting a bid is totally ridiculous, in my opinion. And, you know, I think we need to work on things like that, as well as being transparent with our citizens so they know what the heck is going on. I'm done.
I don't have anything.
Just wanted to say I was glad that we got, I'm not sure what you called Brandon, our chief, the things that flash at you that when you're going too fast. Not that I'm going too fast, but
Right.
well, who said? No, I noticed them in Montague and on Dowling as you're coming along. If you're going just a little bit over the speed limit, it says slow down. Yeah, and it's a good reminder. I like that. And so I asked if we could have some, I see you smiling at me.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I
Okay,
agree.
I know. I thought you were just gonna think I was speeding, that's what.
Well, that too.
Sorry to ramble off here, but, no, I was glad to see the one on Alice. Alice is a little tricky. I mean, it's the street that I live on, so I'm well aware of the fact that you start at the east stop at 40 miles an hour, and then you go down to 35 miles an hour, then fairly quickly you go back, you're down to 25 as you get into town. And I always try to be very mindful of that, but I'm glad to see that this particular one is there, kind of reminding people to, you know, to slow down. We are just such a fast-paced world these days. Everybody's speeding all over the place. I can hear motorcycles all around town. I think everybody else can, the speedsters. And so anything we can do to slow folks down, especially on residential streets, I'm in favor of. So that's my long-winded thank you. So
That's all.
that's all.
So last week, as a member of the West Shore Regional Development Commission, which I sit on, our job is to look at how dollars are spent in this region as far as traffic flows. And one of the things that we've been talking about for probably 10 years is getting a transportation system between Muskegon County and Ottawa County. There's two. Muskegon has a county-funded MATS system, and Ottawa has a village-funded system. They're an authority. Muskegon's is not. And we've been talking for, let's say, 10 years, trying to figure out a way to work together with both of us, and we're still no closer. I sit at this meeting once a month. There's people, representatives from all the local municipalities, and they all want it. There's in excess of 70,000 cars a day that go between Muskegon and Grand Haven. And there's not public transportation to serve those people that would use it. I've asked, I said, everyone in the meeting wants it, but somehow we can't get this going. They need to hear more from the public saying that they want this. Another thing is everybody's heard of the clean air days when the air is not clean, and they put up a notice. Well, those readings come from a station behind Laketon Township, which is very close to the water. right across the lake where the majority of the pollution comes from, and Muskegon County gets pegged for having bad air. It's not our air that's given us the bad reputation of bad air. We've asked to move the station in more inland to be more representative of what's the air quality in Muskegon, but nothing's happened with that. People need to stand up and say, this needs to be addressed. There's also there's been a group that has been reviewing the West Plan non-motorized plan, which is a plan for non-motorized bikes, recreational vehicles. It's, they were asking, I think this year, for people's input on what they thought of it. So they're supposed to have the plan available September 15th, so be on the lookout for that. That's, with that, I want to remind people that this Friday, cruising is happening again at 6 p.m. Saturday is the pub pedal, which happens at 12 p.m. and Sunday is the history cruise at 1 and 9 p.m. All the wonderful events in our community. As Tom said, this past weekend was the Walk the Beat. It was the third one, and it's getting bigger and better, and I'm amazed at the amount of talent, and the local businesses benefit from it. The money that's raised for that goes to buy instruments and lessons for people, so it's a win-win for everybody. With that, we will move on to public comment. I remind anyone that wants to make a comment, please read the bottom of the agenda, particularly the last sentence. If you have questions or issues that need to be addressed, contact City Hall during regular businesses. This is the time to make a public comment. So anyone who would like to make a public comment, please step up.
Hi, I'm Meredith Kuiper. I own Healthy Roots at 117 West Colby. I see in the notes here that you guys got my letter. So we moved into, I'll keep it brief. We moved into our new location at the beginning of April. We've been thrilled to be in downtown Whitehall. This is a dream come true for us. We've waited a long time to make it happen. And that spot really felt like the right fit, just from a visibility standpoint and a parking standpoint. And just a little backstory, over the last 2 years since we bought it, we've poured all of our time, effort, and a lot of his really hard-earned dollars into this business to make it go. Like most small business owners, we faced a lot of challenges, but moving downtown really did kind of take us to the next step, I think, and what we've worked so hard for is kind of becoming a reality. When we moved in, we were under the impression that the street closure was not going to happen again. I had it on good authority from my new landlord that wasn't going to be closed because it wasn't really being used. Obviously, he was wrong. But I guess I question why it's being closed. So in April, it was kind of quiet. Our customers were learning where we were at. It's a new location. I kind of expected a dip. But by early June, things were picking up. The first week of June straddled 2 weekends. That first weekend was booming. And then we had a big event. It was great. Within a day of that street being closed, our business dropped off sharply. People had a hard time figuring out how to get to us. They can see where they should go, but they're not quite sure how to get there. Even locals. That's not just like tourists not knowing where they're at, but there is that going on as well. People started telling us in person at the store, reaching out via Facebook, hey, how do I get to your store now? I mean, I see you've got a couple spots out front, but I don't know how to access the back lot. Well, you've got to go down Mears, and you got to go on Spring Street, and then you go into the lot. And I did a video. I was not videoing while driving. My daughter videoed for me, but I showed people how to get there. And I posted it on Facebook. But the fact remains, it's not an alley. It's a road. First Street's a road. It's not an alley between two businesses. It was a street before there was ever a parking lot back there. I understand why it was closed. It was closed off during COVID. We needed social distancing. Let's have some outside tables so that tourism doesn't die in Whitehall because COVID says you can't eat inside. I get it. I understand why it was done then. but it's a public thoroughfare where people need to drive, and it isn't owned by Pub 111, and it isn't owned by a social district. It's a road. And if you're ever out at 2:30 in the morning on any given Thursday, my delivery driver is parked in the middle of Kobe delivering my stuff because he can't go through the alley, and he can't park back at Spring Street. I know because last week I tried to back a truck in there. I didn't drive it. I had to stop traffic on Mears, back him from the east side over across to the west side so he could back in with a 48-foot truck into the parking lot because he can't use the road that's meant for deliveries and traffic. So I guess I have a couple ideas. I'm not just saying I want to take away Pub 111's outside seating. I'm not suggesting that is the solution. I don't know exactly what the solution is. However, maybe we could talk about an alternative. I have a wider sidewalk on my side of First Street. I would be happy to give him that sidewalk, to have seating there and a chain up to block it so people could visually see, okay, that's a sidewalk and there's seating there. We could put an awning up so that it would be protected. I don't know how much use it's going to get, to be perfectly honest, because every time I drive by there, in the 6 years we've lived here, because we came right before COVID, I have never seen anybody there during daylight hours. I have seen evidence of people being there. I've seen their beer cups and their trash and restaurant stuff for days left, not touched. So not only is it not being used, it's also kind of becoming an eyesore, and it has hampered traffic to my business. And I'm happy to discuss it in more detail with you guys if you need. But I have people here in the audience that will attest to this. I have commentary in person and on Facebook with people saying, I am not coming to your store because I can't park. I have elderly and infirm patients that need to be able to get to those back spots. They can't go over the curb. They are lost and they don't know how to get there. And if our locals are having that problem, you can better believe the tourists are too. And that is how we survive. We survive on tourist business during the summer to get us through the winter. So thank you for your time.
Anyone else?
On July 10th, I had a meeting with the ZBA for a variance, and everything went well. But at that meeting, we were going to discuss possibly closing the walkway, which is north of Country Club, and it goes from on the west side, G Street, to Mears on the east. So I have a request for action from the council on the 6-foot walkway at White Lake Terrace Edition to be possibly abandoned. I have signatures from the property owners on the north and south side of the walkway from G Street to Mears, except for the 3 of them that don't live in town. And I'd like the council to consider that. That was one of the things they asked at the meeting that we would bring up with the council. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Christina Norman, and I appreciate Steve Salter pointing out the last line. It says, if you have any questions or issues that need to be addressed, contact City Hall during regular business hours. What do we do when Scott Hubler doesn't message back or doesn't reply? It's been an ongoing issue for years. So there's a problem. Please let me know how you're going to fix it.
Anyone else? All right, next up is old business. I don't believe we have any old business. New business, resolution 2520, live streaming.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2520, live streaming, for what, 3 years?
Yes.
I'll second that.
All right, so moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
I'd
Yes.
like to know,
One at a time.
Go ahead, Tom.
Well, I have a couple of things, I guess. The quality of the live streaming that we're getting right now is terrible. I get complaints about it all the time. I don't want to renew it unless we're going to get a quality product. The other thing is, I think it's another one of those things where, can we get bids? Why can't we get bids? instead of just renewing a contract for 3 years? Is there somebody else that'll do it? I don't know about cheaper, but somebody that'll do it better? That's my comment.
My comment was basically the same thing. I just would like to know whether this has ever been put out for any kind of competitive bidding or anything like that. There have been a lot of complaints on social media about poor video quality and poor sound quality. I've tried watching some of them myself, and I got to agree, sometimes it's there and sometimes it isn't. But I'd almost like to see us table the issue and, see if there's anybody else out there that provides the same kind of service and what their price would be and what kind of quality we were gonna get for it.
I guess I'd say one other thing, and it doesn't relate directly to them, it relates to the city and operating the way they do. They wait until the day before it's expired, put a gun to our head. Well, if you don't sign it right now, we're not gonna get coverage. And they do that time after time to the city council, and I think we should be getting a little more warning than 1 week before this thing terminates.
Anyone else?
I would be in favor of having further discussions about it, and supporting Scott's thought to move it to a different discussion. Table
Would I
it.
have to make a motion, Well?
We've got a motion on
We
the
have a
table
motion
now,
on the table.
so we would have to terminate that motion, make a new motion, to vote on this one. The one that's out there.
So that's Steve's, right?
Who made the motion?
I did.
City Bill did about this.
So you can make a motion to amend it. Or just vote on what you got.
I don't know how I could amend it. It's either
Right. You can just-
live streaming up or down, I'd say.
Yeah.
I could withdraw my motion, I suppose.
Yeah, you can do that.
I will withdraw my original motion, and I guess that would have to agree with who the second.
I'll agree with that.
Okay, let's do that, and then we'll discuss it further. Well, we'll put a motion out to discuss it further at the next
Work session.
work session.
Problem is this expires on the 31st. Are we gonna have live streaming until after we discuss this, or is the contract and we're done? Because I'm looking, our next council meeting is the 12th of August, which is, 12 days, whatever, after the contract expires, and I don't know, just put that out there.
Well, if it's that bad, as people are saying, I guess missing one meeting here, on live streaming is not gonna be that big of a deal. You know, maybe that'll give them time to straighten out their issues. I watched it one time, probably a year ago, and I thought it was fine. But then I really wasn't interested in watching it anymore, cause I'm living it, so. So I haven't watched it since that one time. But, if there's issues, I think we should talk about it and maybe see if we can, if there's somebody else that does it or whatever. A discussion item.
I mean, they could agree to continue until a new contract is.
Yeah.
I don't know if they would or not, but they could.
Like a continuing resolution?
Yeah, something like that. Well, you don't have to initiate it, but they could continue to perform at the same rate that they're doing it now until.
It's the same.
I don't know if
rate.
they would want to do that or not.
I don't know, it's the same rate as what they're getting now, so, you know, the new contract would be the same. So, I don't have a problem with looking at it some more. I'm always agreeing with the, idea of getting more than one bid for a lot of things. So,
So looking at this contract, I'm seeing it's $300 for the year,
No,
per meeting.
per meeting,
Per meeting.
it's per month, isn't it?
per meeting,
Per meeting.
Per month.
per
Per
month.
month.
I was right, yeah.
So
That's
$3,600
what my
a
wife
year.
always says.
I have a hard time finding something on that, but
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna find
We can look, but $3,600 each, like I said, we think we're at difficult time finding people that can do it for that, but we can look.
If I could add a comment, is it appropriate, even though we don't really have a motion?
We're discussing it.
Okay.
Can you we could
No, we
not-
can't hear the other people either.
Okay, how,
It's not just you, it really
I know.
isn't. She's even saying it's not just you.
but can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, but like we
Okay.
couldn't hear Scott or Salter.
Okay, and I apologize, I say the same thing every time, it's hard, I'm not really supposed to be talking at you or yelling at you all. I'm supposed to be talking to council, so it's just a little tricky for me to go back and forth, and I apologize if I'm going in and out, so I'll just have to imagine council faces out there, right? But no, I think I wanna be careful about how we talk about our businesses in a public setting, that's just number one. Number two, one of the things I like about CatchMark is they are trying to be a local news source for us. We certainly have we have a gap from losing the Chronicle and from our other weekly paper becoming, moving its location and becoming a little bit smaller. And that's one thing that I've noticed is that they seem to be trying to become a news source. That they regularly post. They regularly post on Facebook, social media, and things like that. So that I think that's something to consider as well.
I agree, Tanya. I think I certainly appreciate the willingness to do it and to not raise the price. I guess the discussions I would like to have are, what are the options for improving the quality? Because and that would be my reason for wanting to discuss it further. And without everybody at the table to do that, I don't think we can do it right now. So.
Good point, I agree.
So we can move it to a work session?
If you get a motion to do that, we can just get a general agreement, right?
Right.
Mr. Brown?
Yes. We have a general agreement to move it to a work session. Right. Next up is resolution 2521, truck dump body.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution 2521, the truck dump body for the two F-350 pickup trucks we approved last meeting.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Would you be able to explain it for folks in the
Into the microphone.
would you be able to explain it for folks in the audience if they don't know what that is?
Jeff needs to talk into the microphone.
It is a
Jeff needs it?
purchase.
Because we can't hear the conversation between you guys.
This is for a purchase and installation of a dump body and hoist for both the two F-50 trucks that the city is purchasing.
I asked the question at the last meeting, when this was when those trucks were presented. Is this gonna be another issue like with the police car? Well, you gotta order the truck and this is the cost. And I asked specifically, is there gonna be another charge later from other stuff? And I got an on and on kind of thing from, that's what I was told. And here it is again, just like I kind of predicted. I think when the cost of a truck or a car or whatever is presented to city council, it ought to be the whole price, not just half of the price in the beginning and then come back, oh yeah, we forgot to tell you about this. Again, it's a way of doing business that I think we can improve on.
This is how we build trucks, and we built trucks. I mean, you gotta get the truck from somebody, and then you get the body and the parts from somebody else.
But it was never said that there's gonna be more stuff.
This is within the budget. This is what we budgeted for the truck. It's under budget, and there's nothing new.
We could just have voted once on it and been done, or whatever. I mean, I just don't like this thing where we vote on this and then later on they come back, oh yeah, we got this extra cost that we didn't tell you about. And there's a better way to do it.
I think in this instance, I think you did bring it up, and I think we did talk about it, and I thought Scott said that it was within the budget, but it was gonna need more. I thought that that was clarified, at least this time. But that's my recollection, so.
May I address that?
Yes.
Typically, that is how we do it. When I go back to resolutions, I've found that we have done parts or adjustments. You may see that as inconvenient, but it is definitely a trend that we have done. In this case, it's on me because there was a page that was attached to the quote that I didn't see. So Don pointed that out to me and now it's in front of you. It is budgeted, it's nothing shady, it's just adding more to the truck that needs to be done in order for it to operate for the parks and DPW.
And it could have been a verbal thing too. I mean, like with the police car or with the truck, they just, well, this is what we're approving today, this is what we want today, but there will be more later and it's gonna be about this much. I just think that would be a better way to do it. Okay.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Absolutely. Holmstrom,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Sickinga,
Yes.
Kavala,
Yes,
Hillebrand,
Yes,
Zemer,
Yes.
Salter.
Yes. Resolution 2521 is approved. Next, street closure request, North Mears.
I'll make a motion to approve the street closure request for the Montague School Boys Girls Soccer cornhole contest for one afternoon. Is that correct?
Yes. Sunday, August 17th, 12:30 to 6 p.m.
Obviously, you're not gonna be able to keep the bar users out of that area. You know, they're gonna still have their seating on the street there,
Yes.
so they just wanna use the road, so.
Right. Do we have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion on this?
well, the letter did note that the area businesses agreed to that, and that would be something I would have asked them if they had not put that.
I will just throw out my standard comment that I am not in favor of closing city roads or sidewalks for any business or any event.
I believe this is not a dollar question, so all those in favor say yes.
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 Opposed say no.
No.
Okay. Street closure is approved. Next up is city manager contract.
I'll make a motion to approve the city manager's contract as submitted.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
I read the whole thing and it looks good to me.
Good. Anyone else?
that's just a point of clarification on section 1 and the terms. Letter B, number 3, with respect to, resignation, it says the city, will give the employee to give the city 30 days. Everywhere else it says 60 days, so I just wanna make sure that we're consistent with that piece. And you mentioned that you had some.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I had asked about on the committee is could we change it to 60, and that was agreed to, so I think that's just maybe missed in a few places.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he was gonna make that change. You saw it, I think he made it back, didn't
Okay,
catch it here.
yeah, 60 days notice for resignation rather than 30 days.
And it does say that in other places, so that's why I just wanna make sure it's consistent.
I think we need to, decide on the starting date. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, that conversation obviously involves two parties, so.
Right.
And
Party's here. Can we talk?
Now it's working.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm pretty open. Yeah, so I don't know if people wanna throw out, a suggestion. You also could leave it to then be discussed by, say, the mayor and separately approve it, subject to you guys agreeing on it. But we can talk about it here, either way.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe the council is anxious for this transition, so I think a discussion between Daniel, myself, and Scott would be the best thing.
I don't see why we can't just propose some dates and Dan agrees, then we can do it.
That's fine too, you can do it either.
I don't think we have to take it back offline.
How long is Scott on vacation?
He's back now.
He's back.
Monday. It's Monday.
Next Tuesday would be great.
All right, no, it's done.
I'm just throwing it out.
All right.
That's as soon as.
Thank you.
Is there any other piece that we have to discuss? Nothing else to decide upon?
So you should make a, should add to the motion to change that to 60 on those numbers. For those, and I can just do that, I've got this now.
But
The
it
last
has to be
version
part, it
came
has to
from-
be part of the motion.
It should be, because it's in
Okay.
here. It's
So moved.
So
How's that?
that's good.
Okay, just change those. So July 29. We should put that in the motion too, if we're gonna do that as a start date.
I can do that as well, so moved. Make it the 29th.
So July 29 is the proposed starting date.
Do you require a second for your so moves?
So
So
seconded.
seconded.
Both of them.
Okay, you each get one.
All right. With that, roll call, please.
Sure. Holmstrom,
Yes.
Sittinga,
Yes.
Kavala,
Yes.
Hillebrand,
Yes.
Zemer,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Salter.
Yes. We have an offer on the table tonight.
What happens now?
I'll make these changes and I think I've got Dan's email, I'll send it off, I'll send it to everybody here, to Scott, and we'll send it to Dan and back to Nate. And then ideally, we'll have it signed tomorrow. Okay. Is that?
That works.
So that would be the plan.
Okay.
I have one question.
Sure.
After Daniel starts, and Scott is still here,
Yeah, Daniel would be the manager at that point. So he's the official,
At the
and once
29th.
he's on the 29th, he'd be the official city manager. Scott would be like an assistant or something.
okay.
So the official city manager and all the roles that go with that would be with Dan.
Okay.
I've talked to Scott about that.
Yeah, I was just curious.
Yeah, no, but he's aware of that.
I have another question.
Yes.
Do you go by Dan or Daniel?
Dan.
Okay. I used to teach school and I used to always ask his dad, what do you want me to call you?
We'll butcher my last name,
Tell us how you say that.
but Tavernier.
Tavernier. Thank you.
Anyone else have any comments?
The two issues that were discussed, the sidewalk, and what was the other issue? I have it right.
Oh, the pub 111.
Yes,
the alley.
I would like both of those on a work session,
Absolutely.
if we can do that. While I'm remembering.
Okay. This is the opportunity for public comment once again. Anyone want to make a public comment? Please step forward, give your name.
My name is Ed Whalen, I live at 603 Muskegon Avenue. When a change of command happens, it seems to me to be a good time to view our institutional memories. My preceding mayors, Norm and Mack, held that the quality of life for our citizens and visitors was a most important goal of the city and the council. I know that my succeeding mayors, Debbie and Steve, feel likewise. Norm enjoyed calling White Lake the crown jewel of Muskegon County, and Mac usually said ditto. Councilmember Tanya was instrumental in seeing that the large blue jewel, cleaned to its current condition, occurred. In setting a jewel, it is normal to surround with accenting stones. We have the community library, the playhouse, the city marina in that role of accenting stones, sparkling due really to their actions of their staff. The city's pave of parks add to the whole, with Councilmember Jeff's shining splash pad. The rail trail sprinkling of the original artwork and its many accessible parks around the city complete that jewelry-like piece. Dazzle is provided by DPW, maintaining the system for our citizens and for our visitors. But White Lake is not just Whitehall's jewel. Montague and several townships share this gem, with all of whom we cooperate to the benefit of our residents and visitors. Our city staff, the manager, police chief, and others work with the surrounding municipalities for the benefit of our regional population, providing continuing legacy for our leadership. I would like to remind, therefore, our community, as we change the management of the city, to keep in mind that we are not an isolated individual, but we have a long legacy to enjoy, to share, and to continue. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Okay. Make a comment as a, I just, I don't know if it's Brian or Don Bond. It seems like Don has got a lot of, his name on a lot of things for the Public Works Commission down there now. But anyway, the fixing of potholes is way better this year than it's been in past years. In past years, they'd go with a shovel and fill one little hole and leave. Now they're doing 10, 12-foot sections and trying to make it all level, and they're doing a way better job, as far as I'm concerned, of repairing the streets that are, not on the docket for getting fixed for a while, and it helps a lot. I've noticed it on Lake Street and on my street, Mill Pond Road, and I've noticed it on several other places too, that they're doing a lot better job of filling. Probably costs us a lot more than asphalt, but I appreciate the job they're doing, so that's all.
I was told, Steve, is that's the difference between hot patch and cold patch.
Oh,
So
I don't know
what,
that it's
what they
a lot
do,
better.
what they're doing now is hot patch, so it doesn't, in the winter and the other cooler months, they use the cold. Yeah, I'm loving my windows not rattling on Allen Street there, so.
They're much better.
Yes.
All right. I believe that's all we have. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, Dan. Welcome, and we look forward to working with you. We are adjourned.